like that.
Greetings and welcome to Office Hours with Dr. G. I'm your host, Dr. G, and I am so glad that you could keep our appointment. Tonight, I will be welcoming back returning guest, Brother Lamont Maurice L., who will present Consular Jurisdiction and the Reserve Powers of the People. Lamont Maurice L. is Consul General of Morocco at Maryland State Republic. He's a CMOS distributor and a founder of EnforceTheConstitution.org. Some of you may be familiar with his 2013 case, which made national headlines when he was labeled a squatter and underwent extreme character assassination in the media and endured 5 years of false imprisonment by foreign hybrid European colonists occupying North America for making a lawful adverse claim to his inherited ancestral estate by treaty right. The original case was dismissed for lack of jurisdiction. Nevertheless, Lamont spent 5 years in captivity on totally separate, falsified charges, none of which the media has ever mentioned, retracted, or updated to this day. The case became a landmark court case that is now studied because of its historical and significant legal significance. They didn't know what they were doing because Lamont Maurice L. was able to use that time in captivity to sharpen his constitutional law enforcement knowledge and skills. I want to welcome back to Office Hours with Dr. G, my friend, our brother, Maurice Lamont L. Yeah, that's me. Welcome. Well, we got a little bit of music left. How are you?
I was already dancing. I'm tired now.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's so good to have you back on the show, and it's so good to be debuting my new logo with this show. Yep, right there. I gotta get my audience's approval on whether or not they like my new logo, but if it gets a thumbs up, I gotta hear it in the let me know whether they like it. All right. Welcome back to Office Hours with Dr. G, Brother Lamont Maurice L. And you have been busy, I'm sure, since you were on the program back in, I think, September of 2020. And we had a lot of good response from that particular show. And you've been busy, hard at work. We were before that, and probably even more so since then. More people had an opportunity to get to know you a little bit more about what you've been doing and what you offer to the people. And I have, of course, been advertising EnforceTheConstitution.org. I would have put my T-shirt on, but what? A T-shirt, got to get a little bigger one for the girls. But you do have, I did wear one of the T-shirts on one show, I think, and one sister told me that she reached out to you or went to your site because she read what was on the T-shirt. But tonight you are here to talk about a different subject. You are really concerned about getting our people ready to enforce the Constitution and to take our rightful place amongst the affairs of men and all those things that the prophet has left for us to do. And tonight I'm pretty much going to give you the floor because, as I said to you, I can't ask you. I will probably ask you questions as you begin to share, but because I'm not as familiar with the subject matter, that I don't feel like I could, really speak on it. I want to give you the floor, and I'm going to be taking notes like everybody else. Hopefully they have their pens and paper and they're taking notes. Yes. Okay, you're on. 6 minutes. No, right now you're on.
Dougie Fresh, I'm on. Okay.
You're on.
So, well, first, the subject matter, consular jurisdiction and the reserve rights of the people. So, since I've been home, I've been observing and watching and, studying the activity of brothers and sisters around North America in regards to treaty rights and treaty obligation. And there's a big misunderstanding of consular jurisdiction. So what has to be done is, first and foremost, like Brother Taj Tariq Bey, Grand Sheikh said, you have to study the word, the origin, the true meaning, the denotation of words. So I want to start with first the powers, the reserved powers of the people, because it's also a misunderstanding that we, as Moorish Americans, which is a citizenship, are the indigenous people of the land. We're Aboriginal. However, for some reason, we have still not understood the powers of government and how that applies to the indigenous people of the land when interacting with foreigners. And when I say foreigners, I'm talking about the foreign hybrid European colonists and their venue called the United States Corporation Company, or in other words, United States of America, the Republic, which is two different venues. So I want to go to the Constitution. So I'm gonna do a screen share. How do I do that? Hit share.
We're going to, here we go.
Okay. So I can just hit share with share screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Your entire screen. Okay. It's not giving me the share option. I got it.
Okay. All right. So you want to figure out what part you want to share, like the whole page, or
can you see what I have on my screen now?
Yes, the Constitution. We see that.
Right. Okay. So starting at the preamble, I'm gonna zoom in. It says, "We the people," right here. "We the people of the United States." And then we're going to skip the comma and go right here. "Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America," which means the United States of America did not ordain and establish this Constitution. It was we, the people of the United States. Now, going back into history, you would know when studying the prior constitutions that came before this Constitution, which was the Articles of Confederation of 1781, excuse me, and the Declaration of Independence of 1776, as well as the Articles of Association of 1774, which is mentioned by Noble Drew Ali, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, in the divine warning by the prophets for the nations, which he talked about the 14th and 15th Amendment not being necessary for the salvation of our people and citizens. He said, since that Constitution has never been changed, he was talking about 1774. That's the Articles of Association. So when it says we the people of the United States, you're talking about the Continental Congress. Now, using our common sense, the Continental Congress would by all means be the majority of the people of the continent. The people of the continent are Moors. The continent is called America, North, South, and Central. The people of the continent were also known as the Amna Honesty Confederation of Moors. It was 35 Moors. Then there were 20 European sons that represented as delegates of the colonies. Those colonies were chartered also by Moors of Great Britain, the British Moors, as well the states being chartered by Moors, because subjects or Slovakians, slaves, the foreign hybrid European colonists, cannot draft sovereign documents. And all the constitutions, including the treaty, are sovereign documents. So when you see we the people of the United States in the preamble, even though it's speaking connotatively, it's talking about the majority Moors, our foremothers and forefathers. Our foremothers and forefathers are the ones that establish the ancient principles and creeds and customs when dealing with commercial activity on our land in this Constitution. That's why it says also, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Who is speaking? We the people. So the posterity would be by all means the descendants of we the people, which is us, Moorish Americans. Drew Ali also said in chapter 47 that who your forefathers were, you are today without doubt or contradiction. So that means we the people that's spoken of in the preamble of the Constitution is still we the people, the Moors. So that's the beginning of the Constitution. When you go to the end of the Constitution, which would be the end of the Bill of Rights, the 10 Bill of Rights, the 10 Amendments, excuse me, of the Bill of Rights. Right here, it says, the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. That means the powers that we, the people, delegated in the United States under Articles 1, 2, and 3. Article 1 being the legislative power. That's the power to make law. Article 2 being the executive power. That's the power to enforce law or execute law. Article 3 being the judicial power. That's the power to interpret and apply the law. The powers that are not delegated to the United States by the Constitution are reserved to the people. There are also powers that are in the Constitution that are prohibited by the Constitution to the states. That prohibition is known under, let me show real quick, under Article 1, Section 10, starting at Clause 1, right here. See, no state shall. It goes down a list of things. Article 1, Section 10, Clause 2, no state shall. There's a whole bunch of other things. Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3, no state shall. So these are the prohibitions of the states. So the first thing that our forefathers established under Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1 as a prohibition to the states is no state shall enter into any treaty, because they have no business, nor do they have the status to enter into any treaty issue, any treaty case, any treaty controversy. So off the break, it's telling you that no state has any jurisdiction over any Moor who has a dispute with the citizen of the United States, or over any citizen of the United States that has a dispute over Moor. So any case, any controversy, any dispute, whether it be civil or criminal, must be in another venue other than state courts, which includes city courts, county courts, municipal courts, etc. So going back to Article 1, Section 10, no, not Article 1, Section 10, Amendment 10 says the powers that are not delegated to the United States by the Constitution are reserved to the states respectively. Respectively meaning in a republican form of government. So if it's not, the states are not acting or operating in a republican form per Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution, which only sanctions a republican form of government, not a democracy, then those powers are still by all means reserved to this people. What powers? Legislative powers, executive powers, and judicial powers. So what this means ultimately is we must examine the powers. Well, first, let's examine the form of government that's spoken of in Article 4, Section 1, because we got to get this right. We have to look at this correctly, all of us. So Article 4, right here, Section 4 of the Constitution states, the United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government, and shall protect each of them against invasion and on application of the legislator or of the executive when the legislative cannot be convened against domestic violence. So what is a republican form of government? What we would do is go to the Black's Law Dictionary, which is what I'm doing now, going to the term government. Give me a second, because this thing plays games sometimes. All right, here we go. Government. So this is page.
Can you blow that up a little bit?
Yes. Let's see. Here we go. Page 625 in the Black's Law Dictionary, 5th edition. Well, no. Starting at page 625, carrying over to 626. Under government, you have republican government. And it says, a republican government is one in which the powers of sovereignty are vested in the people and are exercised by the people, either directly or through representatives chosen by the people to whom those powers are specially delegated. So the very definition of republican government is a reflection of the 10th Amendment. However,
now, that is not to be, excuse me for cutting you, that is not to be confused with the Republican Party.
No, absolutely not, because the Republican Party and the Democratic Party is two sides of the same coin.
Absolutely. I wanted you to stress that.
Yes, definitely. One is the Conscience Whigs. I think that's the Republican Party, and the other one is the Cotton Whigs.
Cotton Whigs.
Which is the Democrats. So either way, if you looked at the movie W, I think was it called W? The George Bush movie?
I think so.
W, I watched that movie. He was a so-called Republican. However, when he went over to the what they call the Middle East, he said, yes, this will be a perfect place to start a democracy. So it doesn't matter whether they call themselves Republican or Democrat, still does not change the fact that there's only one form of government that was sanctioned by the Constitution or to operate on this land, and it's a Republican government. And the meaning, the definition that cannot be changed is one in which the powers of sovereignty are vested in the people. So if the powers of sovereignty are vested in the people, then that means the people can directly exercise the powers of sovereignty. Or they can exercise the powers of sovereignty through representatives that were specially delegated and voted and chosen by the people. But that power has to be shown that it was delegated, which is why when you challenge the jurisdiction of these venues calling themselves courts, you would be by all means demanding for a certified copy of the delegation of authority order from Congress per Article 3, Section 1 and 2 of the Constitution, which reads, Article 3, Section 1, it says, the judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. That means those powers, that judicial power, is vested in inferior courts by Congress from time to time. That means it's not a permanent position. So the Congress has the power to ordain and establish inferior courts with judicial power under Article 3, Section 1 of the Constitution. Why? Because our forefathers allowed it. If they don't have the power, or they cannot show that the power was delegated to them, then guess who has the power? The judicial power. We, the people. Yep. So that ultimately means, first of all, in order for you to challenge somebody's authority, you yourself has to have authority. So that's the one thing that we've been missing for a lot of people that have been challenging jurisdiction. You have to know that you got to have authority to challenge authority. All powers of government come from the people. And the very definition of Republican government shows you that the government is the people. The government is not representatives of the people. The government is the people. Because first and foremost, government is a compound word. Govern, meaning to direct, to control. Ment is short for mentality or the mental. So yes, we do have a right to self-government. So for anyone that tells you to the contrary, well, whether they know it or not, they're depriving you or attempting to deprive you of your birthright to govern yourself. That's a birthright. So, getting back to the powers, let's go to powers. So now that we know what Republican government is, that's the people, that is the people. And now we're going to go to powers, because we got to get our words right. Brother, our brother in Grand Sheik, Taj Tariq Bey, has been pushing the importance of knowing the true meaning of words. And also, I definitely encourage everyone to get his book, Wardship Dispeller.
Well, now I had a request for that book right now. We don't have it. And Grand Sheik is he's trying to get that and some others reprinted before, because everybody's going to text me or email me for that.
Like, I was about to put it on you.
Please don't do that. No, because I have my copy over there, but I don't know whether we may be able. I have a brand new printer. It prints real big. Maybe I'll be able to print the copies and kind of make it, like a so that somebody can get them quickly. But right now, as it stands, but we'll let you know. We'll let you know as soon as it's available. We will let you know.
Islam, yes, because it is very, very good. It's a great book. I definitely think that everyone should, if you're new to this movement, being active, you definitely should start off with the book Wardship Dispeller, because it shows you the importance of knowing the word that you're speaking, knowing the word that you're reading, and knowing the word that you are accepting from others. Otherwise, it will be to your detriment, because your actions and your deeds follow your words. That's why it says, in the beginning was the word. So definitely get that book when it is available. So powers. So we are at page 1053 in the Black's Law Dictionary, 5th edition. And we're down under powers. You will go to constitutional powers. It says the right to take action. See that? That's being active. The right to take action in respect to a particular subject matter or class of matters involving more or less of discretion granted by the Constitution to the several departments or branches of government. Look at this. Or reserved to the people. So that means, in the very definition of constitutional powers, it is your right to take action because it is vested in the people. Powers in this sense are generally classified as legislative, executive, and judicial, and further classified as enumerated or expressed powers, implied powers, inherent powers, which deals with inheritances, resulting powers, or sovereign powers. Oh, then got the right under that commerce power, which is the powers of Congress to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states. That's Article 1, subsection 8, clause 3 of the Constitution. That is definitely imperative for us to know and understand, and it also leads us to the next topic, which is, and of course we've all heard of it, title. Let me go to Google.
While you're getting that question, there are two constitutions. I'm pretty sure that what I'm assuming that the one you're showing is the Constitution for, as opposed to the Constitution of. And can you give the difference? Because some people will grab something that says of and some for. Can you cite the differences why one should have one over the other when it pertains to us?
Well, so it's more so, doesn't really matter which constitution you have, because if you know the history, they can't pull the wool over your eyes. It's all about knowing the history, and it starts with knowing the origin of a word. So you'll know that the U.S. is an acronym. If it's not expressed as the United States or the United States of America, then 9 times out of 10, they're not talking about the United States or the United States of America organic. They're talking about the U.S., which is the unum sanctum.
Unum sanctum.
Absolutely, the unum sanctum. You all want to look that up, unum sanctum. Because it wouldn't matter what constitution they use, because even in the U.S. Constitution, guess what's in the U.S. Constitution? Article 6, where it says, Article 6, Clause 2, this Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land. It's still the supreme law of the land. So the U.S. Constitution, the United States Constitution, the Constitution for the United States of America, all of those constitutions pretty much say the same thing. It's just when it comes to the 14th Amendment. Let me show you all the nuance real quick before we get into Title 22. So here in the 5th Amendment, it says, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. That due process of law is jurisprudence. Then when you go to the 14th Amendment, U.S. Constitution, Amendment 14, Section 1, it says, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. That is called color of law, which treats of feudal law or feudalism. That is the science that treats of negative law. Jurisprudence is the science that treats of positive law. Also want to point out this nuance. When you go to Article 4, Section 2, it says the citizens of each state, not United States, it says the citizens of each state shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of citizens in the several states. But then when you go down to the 14th Amendment, this is where the U.S. Constitution really is, 14th Amendment. Right here. All persons, Section 1, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. That's a whole nother citizenship. Yep. And when you go to the definition of persons, let's do that real quick too. In the Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, we're going to go to persons. So we can see who that citizenship under the 14th Amendment applies to. I'm sure a lot of the listeners already know. But for the sake of validity, it's not about what we know, it's about what we can prove. Remember that too. It's not about what you know, it's about what you can prove.